Good day. My name is Efih. I'm speaking on behalf of Vessels of Compassion. I'm one of the directors. And this evening, I want to just welcome you to the book of Esther, which we have started before now. And I'm taking off from the next chapter, which is chapter 6. And I call the book, chapter 6, a book of remembrance. And I want to just read it, and I pray you'll be blessed by it. Esther chapter 6. So that night the king could not sleep, so one was commanded to bring the book of Chronicles, the book of records of the Chronicles, and they were read before the king. And it was found written that Mordecai had been told of Bigthan and Teresh, two of the king's eunuchs, doorkeepers, who sought to lay hands on King Ahasuerus. Then said King, what honor or dignity has been bestowed on Mordecai for this? And the king's servant who attended to him said, nothing has been done. I want to stop there. The book of Esther chapter 6, the book of Chronicles. The king could not sleep. And I'll take it, this started from chapter 2, when two people plotted to kill the king. But Mordecai revealed it, and Esther, as he was told, Esther informed the king, and it was written on the name of Mordecai that Mordecai was the one who actually sussed the people out who plot to kill the king. But nothing was done. But this particular night, the king could not sleep. That's what we just read in chapter 6. And the book of the Chronicle was brought forward. It was read to the king. The king said, what honor has been given to that person? And who is the person? It's Mordecai. The king wants to honor him. And why this book of Esther is so interesting, as we read it further, you'll find that, I bet if you've been following us in the book of Esther, Haman has been the one in charge. He's been the one wanting the glory. And from chapter 5, we find out how Queen Esther made a royal banquet for the king, just to inform the king of what is going on. But chapter 6, God stirred the boat where the king could not sleep. And the book of Chronicles were read, the records were read to him. And what honor, what honor. The things I want to stress about today is about you serving in the house of God and you think you've been forgotten. But today I want to say you are not forgotten, because God remembered Mordecai. What honor. And if we read further, we read about that at that time, who was in the palace when the king asked, what honor has been brought to the person who saved his life? And it was not coincidental that Haman was there. He was called and he thought, yes, who else? And I just want us to read further so you know. And verse 5 said, then the king's servant said to him, Haman is there, standing in the court. And the king said, let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king asked him, what shall be done to the man whom the king delights to honor? Haman thought in his heart, whom else would the king honor more than me? And Haman answered the king, for the man whom the king delights to honor, let a royal robe be brought, which the king has sworn and has won, and the horses on his kings will ride upon his royal place. What I just want to draw out, Haman thought, yeah, who else will the king honor apart from me? the one, a man after his heart. But sometimes we think we serve and nobody takes note. But the Lord takes note, and this was the day of reckoning. And I just want us to read further the story, what has just happened. And the king then let this robe and horse be delivered to the hands of the king's most high prince and array. This is what Mordecai was saying. Haman was saying that it will be given to the man who the king delights to be honored. But verse 10 said, then the king said to Haman, hurry, take this robe and horse, as you suggested, do so for Mordecai the Jew, who sits within the king's gate. Leave nothing undone of all that you have spoken. Leave nothing undone on all that you have spoken. Sometimes we plan evil because we knew from the story what is going on. But the king, Haman thought no else the king can honor than himself. But to his shock, he said, go and honor Mordecai, the man who sits at the gates. And that was done for him. And if you look further, something happened. Verse 12, he said, after, verse 11, he said, so Haman took the robe and horses and arrayed Mordecai and led him on the horseback through the city square and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor. Your enemy will announce your glory. That's what the Lord is saying. Sometimes you think, Lord, I'm serving. I want you to take from this, remembering that Mordecai served at the background. He was serving without notice. He was at the gate. He put purity. He brought Queen Esther up. Everything was done in secret. But one thing I want us to pick up from this, and I'll go back to it. Verse 12 said, afterwards Mordecai went back to the king's gate. He went back. Humility is being seen. When the Lord exalts us, let us take it. Because if the thing I've learned from this is, Mordecai was walking at the background and he brought out beauty in the life of Queen Esther. And as the king came to honor him and to reward him, he saw that God sees the purity of our hearts. When you do things in purity, in love, the Lord will reward you. And that's what the Lord have done for Mordecai, because he was humbled. And again, I just want to remind us and ask that we should guide our hearts with that faith, and again, be courageous and be strong. Mordecai was courageous. Mordecai knows who he believes, the God he believes. So he was just there serving. Even with everything, he refused to bow. And that is why, if we look, Haman hated him because he's the one who did not bow to him. Every other person. But today's record shows that with all that Mordecai did, with all that Haman did, Mordecai was honored. And who honored him? He is the enemy. The person who has chosen Mordecai to be his enemy is the one that has honored him, which is Haman. Haman took him round. And that's what God wants to do for us. There are times we thought, Lord, what is the point? I've done everything. But I want to remind you today, if you serve with gladness, with that confidence, knowing who is your Father, that you are secured in God's love, God will honor you. God will reward you. Mordecai knew God's purpose for his life. He knew his God as a Hebrew man, and he refused to bow, and he encouraged. His duty was an encourager. He encouraged Esther, making Esther to be who she is. And I just want us to know that one of the things that Mordecai knew, Mordecai was secured in the knowledge of the God of Israel. who he served. And I just want us, before I go to the conclusion, verse 13 said, when Haman told his wife, Zerah, all the friends, everything that has happened, his wise men, his wife Zerah told him, if Mordecai, before whom you have begun to fall, is a Jew descendant, you will not prevail against him, but he will surely fall. You will surely fall before him. I want to encourage us out there, if you are serving the living God, no weapon formed against you will prosper. Every tongue that will rise against you in judgment will be condemned. The Lord did it for Mordecai. Haman dug a pit for him, but Haman fell in his own pit. And who announced Mordecai's glory? It is Haman. And I believe your enemy, if you have anyone out there, your enemy will announce your glory. The Lord is just assuring us, all we need to be, we should be secured enough as the daughter or the son of the King, the Most High God. If you are secured in your Father, He will sort you out. I just want us to know that our example is Jesus, because Jesus humbled Himself. He's the example of humility, and the Bible says He humbled Himself to the death of the cross. And if we walk in humility, the Lord will honor us. Remember the book of remembrance, the book of Esther chapter 6. The Lord will remember you. You are not forgotten. God is your Father. Thank you for listening, and God bless.